Hi, everyone. My name is Debbie, and I'm on the iRise board. I am a part of the marketing and communications. Welcome to iRise, the experience. I have Kamia. Kamia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Kamia Slaughter. I am also on the board, working on community service and engagement. And we have the pleasure of bringing to you the topic, choosing the best career for you. So I know we're super excited to get this started. So let us go ahead and begin. I know the first thing we're going to talk about is writing down your strengths and weaknesses. So, Debbie, do you want to go ahead and start off?
Yeah, no problem. So what we're going to do to make this very interesting, because if you're in high school, it may look a little different, right? Versus if you already graduated college or you're already in your career, maybe the first few years. So Kamia is going to kind of talk about that, journey. If you're a high school student and you just are like, what am I supposed to do with the rest of my life? And then I will jump in if you're a college grad or if you're just getting into your career and you really want to decide if you're not sure. So yeah, I can definitely kick it off, Kamia, and then you can give it from a high school point of view, or a student point of view. Basically, yeah, strengths and weaknesses. You have to figure out, what am I good at? So sometimes, for me, I'll just throw myself in there. I'm not good at building things. That's why I'm not an engineer. So if you loved Legos as a kid and you're just like, yo, I think I really like working with my hands, or I really like writing, so think about naturally what you're good at. What am I really good at? What am I not good at? And then that's a good first step to determine, okay, let's not talk about careers. Let's just talk about what you're naturally good at. What are you gifted at? What do people tell you? So I would suggest asking your friends. If you're already out of college, they probably already talked about career options, or even if you're in your career, think about naturally, what do I like now? Now that I've been in this career and I've been in the workforce, what am I naturally good at? And even if you're not sure, ask your friends, ask your family. Kamia, what do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, those are all great points. I think it's important to think about what you're already doing. So think about the clubs or organizations that you're a part of. I was really into writing, and my clubs or organizations reflected that. So it only made sense that when I started to think about my career, I knew I wanted to be in something that really required me to write, because I definitely didn't want to lose that skill, and I wanted to be challenged and pushed to refine it as I matriculated through the career force. Also, like you said, ask folks. One of the big is, I think, informants are your teachers. So teachers know all of your strengths and weaknesses. So I think I spent some time just asking folks, what do you think I'm good at? It's so funny. So I remember one time I started talking about organization, and did I have a type A personality? And I was like, oh, I do not have a type A personality. And then one of my friends said, type A minus. So I think you really have to just sort of think about yourself and think about what other folks have to say about you too. So keep your friends in mind, keep your teachers in mind, keep your family in mind. I think they spend the most time with you from day to day.
Those are great points. I love it. So now that you said, okay, all right, Kamia, Debbie, I heard what you said. I already know what I'm good at. I know that. What's next? How I choose this career? And really the next thing we wanted to share is about putting those skills to work. So whether you're in high school, whether you're just graduated, whatever it is, volunteering, interning, job shadowing. And I guess for me, if you're already in a career or you're in a job right now, the way you could put the skills to work, let's say now, I love working with people. Figure out opportunities inside of the position that you already have, or positions that you want for you to use that skill. And it could be on the side. It doesn't have to be in your current position. It could be a volunteer thing that can give you experience. It can be maybe working with a mentor and asking them, hey, how do I do this? What does that look like? Going to different events and networking with other people that may be in a career option that you want. So you just have to analyze, how do I actually work this? What can I do? And maybe even create a project for yourself. Let's say you want to be an interior designer, or you want to be in education. maybe you start a YouTube channel. That's where you start. Like, you just start teaching people what you love to do. You love math, get on YouTube and start to learn, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, but just start to experiment. Nothing, you know, is a waste of time if this is what you're trying to learn, is like, what am I good at and what is going to work for me in my career? Kamia, what do you think about from a student point of view about, you know, putting the skills to work? Like, what does that look like?
Yes, for the high schoolers, definitely maximize your summers. I remember when I was in high school, like for a brief stint, I wanted to be a scientist and go into medicine a little bit. It was short lived, so don't judge me. But I remember I applied to the summer program and I did not get in. And of course, knowing the person I am, I called and said, okay, so what's up? I said, well, we're at capacity, but they referred me to a tenure track professor at Auburn. This is the campus near me. And I said, well, this person is looking for an undergraduate research assistant. Not an undergraduate, a student research assistant who is in high school. And it was a paid position. So I contacted them. And for that summer, I spent that time like in a lab, working on research projects, helping them prep for a conference that was coming up. So I think that was the one thing that was like, oh my goodness, this is so awesome. But it also helped me to realize like, oh, this is also not my strength. Going back to point one. And I was able to cancel that off my list. Another option is to think about the community organizations and services around you. I really wanted to volunteer at a daycare facility for context. I'm a teacher, certified teacher, K-6 in the state of Alabama. And that's how I began my career. I really want to volunteer at this predominantly Black daycare facility. And I went in to talk to the director and she asked me how old I was. And she said, goodbye, because I was too young to be around the kids. Again, knowing the person I am, I went back the next day and asked her again, could I do it? And she said, okay, I can't put you around the kids, but I can put you in an office. So I spent the entire summer doing the administrative work to help those students and to help her. So think about what's around you. Spend your summers doing something extremely productive and don't let that time go to waste.
Yeah. I was going to jump in and say, no matter if you're in high school, college, already in a career, make sure you continue to update that resume. Once you find something that clicks, make sure you jot that down, stay connected to those people, whether it's a paid position, a free position, whatever it is, stay connected to these people because that will help you also, whether you shift industries or not, people are people. And one thing I realized with careers, it's really about who you know and who knows you than always about your skill set, right? Like they can, if they know that you're a good character, they're willing to give you a chance, right? So stay in contact with these people and don't lose contact, especially if they're good people and you really liked working with them. You just never know where that next opportunity may come. Speaking of opportunities, Kamia, you have mentioned a great resource about, okay, I'm putting it to work. I know what I like, but assessing that, right? And testing that. Can you talk about that, career assessments and all of that good stuff?
Sure. I spent a lot of time taking career inventories and career assessments in high school, and several of these were mandatory. So my school district sort of made us do it. And I'm not gonna like promote one particular one, but just a simple Google search of career assessments, career inventories will lead you in the right direction. And basically they just ask you questions like, what are you good at? So going back to point one again, points 1 and 2, I suppose. What have you been involved with? What do people say that you're good at? And just going there and just figuring out, and they'll match you with some career options that may be best suited for you. And of course, there's always an algorithm along with it. So you don't have to go in that direction, but they were super helpful in helping me to narrow things down. Also, and I think this may be most useful for the juniors and seniors, but look at the colleges, the course of study there. So I may be a nerd in this, but I spent a lot of time doing that too. So for Auburn, for example, you can look and see like, oh, in elementary ed, I'm going to be taking these classes freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, and to see if you can see yourself doing those things. Because at some point you get into your field courses, which best mimic and mirror what you'll be doing in your career. So take a look at that. And most of the time, those are all public for you to view. And the next two things, just interview folks. And I think about these as informational interviews. Take the time and say, hey, do you have 15 minutes for me to just talk to you? And it doesn't have to be anything formal, little set of questions prepared. Just I just want to talk to you about your job, right? So definitely utilize the folks who are around you and the folks that you meet. And then finally, find mentors. Maybe talked a little bit about resumes earlier, but another thing you need in the job market are recommendation letters. So your mentors are great folks to provide recommendation letters for you. And again, nothing formal here. Just go up to some folks who maybe you've worked with before or volunteered with, who you really admire, and just figure out and just ask them if they'd be willing to mentor you.
Yeah, those are all, and that's not just for high school. Everything Kamia was talking about, that's no matter what stage you're in your career, in your, your work life, all of that. They're just amazing options. I would say, if you're already you've graduated, you're in your field, the way you can kind of assess your career too, instead of just testing, is your job performances. So sometimes with certain careers, they'll have, after 6 months, after 3 months, after a year, they do an evaluation, right? I don't know why I did that, but they do an evaluation of your performance, like how you're doing, right? And I think that's a great feedback too, to see if, hey, is this working out for me? Is this not working out for me? And your job, whether it's corporate, it's education, doesn't matter where, what you're doing, find other ways to test your knowledge, right? There's so many quizzes, there's so many educational tools that you can use, and that can really help you understand and invest in the knowledge, especially if this is something that you want to do long term. Speaking of long term, let's talk about having a job versus a career, because not every position is a career, right? But what's your thoughts, Kamia? I'll let you kind of jump into this about, determining, okay, is this a job? Is this a career? How do I determine that? What does that look like? How do I make a job into a career?
Yes. I think my biggest indicator is just the potential to move up. So I think about jobs as not just short term, but just me figuring out, can I move up? Can I advance within this business or organization? I think careers, for example, really give you that flexibility to move up, both in career title and in terms of salary. And you really see yourself being professionally developed over the course of time. So I think just thinking about when you go in, let me preface this and say, I don't think anything is wrong with jobs. I had them in high school and I needed them. I needed quick money in a sense. But I knew once I became a teacher, okay, where are these sort of checkpoints and markers for me to say, oh, I'm in a brand new role now. This was a promotion in a sense, whether they called it one or not.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think even if you've graduated, and I'll say from a post high school, post college, and you're in the working field, I still think you can have a job, right? It's kind of a position that maybe you jumped into that you didn't have a lot of experience, or it could be something that you're like, what Kamia was saying, how can I grow, right? How can I take this and make it something more? Because I do like it and I want to make it more. And I think that's where, let's just do a basic example. Let's say you're an admin assistant right now and you're at a law firm. Don't know where you're at, but whatever. Let's say you're an admin assistant, you're a secretary, or you're in the mailroom. It doesn't matter. But long term, you want to be either a lawyer, you want to be in some type of, you want to level up at some point, right? You're just at that entry level right now, right? So I think one of the best things you can do is determining, okay, yeah, I'm in this position. It's kind of capped. But like what Kamia said, finding opportunities, getting good with the key holders and the decision makers that's within your organization, getting to know them, going to the happy hours. You don't have to drink a lot. I'm not saying go and drinking that crazy, but I am saying don't be so antisocial. Like, yeah, I just work with these people. They're not my friends. No, you kind of need to be a little friendly to climb up. You know what I mean? And so, and especially as a minority, you know, we have to conduct ourselves a little differently once we do get into the working world. And I do feel like if you know you want to stay there long term, find opportunities or even start an opportunity to connect people. Be that person that does things that, you know, you sign yourself up. Like, you know what? I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to, you know, take this on and stand out outside of just my role. Don't go into your position thinking this is it. This is my cap. It's not your cap. The only cap that you have is in your mind. So if you feel like all you can be is a male person, or all you can be is just a teacher's assistant, then that's all you'll be. So if you think, no, I really want to do something, then take that initiative, join some organizations, talk to someone that's a little higher than you and say, how can I get out, not get out, but how can I transition into something that does become a career and not just a job? And so I think that that's good for those people that are already in the workforce. And even if you're just doing your first entry jobs, that's a great point of view and just a mindset that you have to have that, yeah, I'm here right now and I'm only making XYZ an hour, but it doesn't mean this is my forever. So don't believe that it's a mindset thing too. So a lot of people, they can stay stuck and you're not really stuck. And let's say it is a career option, but invest into your career. If they say, okay, you want to come up, then you need a certification, then invest in the certification. Whatever it is to transition, do the work. Figure it out. And especially as a minority, you're going to have to know your stuff, especially if you're moving from entry to management or even print, you know, it doesn't matter. You got to know your stuff and you have to be just as best or even better than the people that you probably want to end up working for or working with. So that's my whole thing about transitioning that job, that entry little job into, I shouldn't say little, but that entry job into something that really is something that you're like, yeah, I'm going to do that. You know, and maybe like what Kamia said, job shadow, you know, get to know somebody outside of the organization that maybe not a competitor, but like something similar and ask them like, what does that look like? You know, maybe do some research on YouTube, on Google, a day in a life of analytics person or a math teacher. Just do every type of research and say, is that really what I want? And it doesn't mean when you see these people on the internet, that means that's what it's going to look like for you. But I do think it's a good idea to just get in that environment and really believe that you can do this because it is possible for you. So to wrap this up though, I think once you decide, okay, I want to be, you know, I'm feeling good. How do you know, what's next? How do you evaluate what's going on in your career or in your work life? Kamia, you want to jump in here? Like whether it's a good fit, it's a bad fit, it's, you know, you want to make an adjustment. What are some of your thoughts?
Yes, I think about when I have sort of plateaued in a position. So I'm a doc student now, and I got to a point in my teaching career. So I'm one of those people who has to see it to believe it. So I need to see the next position I want to be in before I pursue it. And I was seeing the next few positions within the elementary ed trajectory. And I did not see myself being successful and being happy in those positions, I should say. So I think that was sort of a marker for me to say, okay, it is time for me to switch gears. However, I knew that education was the place for me. I love teaching. I love researching. I love the broad field. But I knew I just need to make a slight pivot. So I think that's important. Also salary. And I think folks don't talk enough about salary. Yeah. What works and is acceptable at 21 may not be acceptable at 31 and 41. So if you don't see yourself like not just moving up in terms of title, I don't care if I am president, vice, whatever of amazingness. If the salary does not align with that, then I cannot be happy. So just think about like, yes, the title, but also the salary and also just your peace of mind. You must be happy in what you do. And I'm not saying you need to be giddy every day, like, oh my goodness, it's time to go to work. But after a week, you need to be able to say, oh, I have put in a week's work and it was meaningful and it did not like take the life out of me. So I think that's the most important. So reevaluate. And if as you reevaluate, you think, oh, everything's amazing, well, then you know, and you should feel confident that you can stay within that same position for years and years, maybe even decades to come. But if not, know that your skills are can be translated into something that's way more amazing than what you are in now. So don't ever feel like you're stuck in doing something. I'm already, one of my friends jokes with me that I've already seen like 3 lives because I change. I go with the wind in a sense, but it's because I feel qualified to do so and confident enough to do so. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. I was just going to jump in here as we wrap up and just pretty much say, you know, we're in a period right now. We're still in COVID. I know some people don't think we are, but we are. And the crazy thing is we're dealing with this great resignation right now where a lot of people are leaving positions. And I want to talk about that, just, you know, reevaluating, right? Like, let's say one of these people, you're one of those people that literally just put in your 2 weeks, or, you know, you want to put in your 2 weeks. And I just, you know, obviously you have to do what's best for you, right? If you realize that where you are right now, you don't want to do this long term, you don't want to, I will say some people abruptly quit. I'm not necessarily a fan of that. I have done that. So I'm not going to say like I never, well, I absolutely have done. If it's toxic to the point where you're literally crying or you're frustrated, you're starting to like leave. But if you can figure out some type of plan financially, like maybe save up a certain amount and then you put just come up with a plan. You know, if you're evaluating, you're realizing maybe it's not even about the money. It's just the culture now has changed, or you want a remote position now. You're like, you know what, because of COVID or because of my lifestyle, I actually want some flexibility, or I want to be able to try. You're going to evolve as a person. Like Kamia said, you're 18 versus 31 versus 51. You're going to want different things, and that's okay. And maybe you go and find different organizations that work for your life, not just your career, because your career is going to evolve. Whether you stay in the same industry or you move industries, be open, be willing to pivot. You have to be willing to be adjustable and go where the opportunities are willing to go. You know, don't be afraid. Don't feel like you're stuck. But if you are going to leave, have a plan. I'm not going to tell you exactly what you should do. You have to determine what that's going to be. But don't just, oh, well, it's getting hard. Or Karen said something to me and now I'm like, you know, you just really have to evaluate all the pros and cons before making that final decision. Yeah, this is not working out for me anymore. So evaluating career matters, whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you're like, this is just not it for me, or no, this is amazing. How can I get more out of this and out of myself? Push yourself, invest in yourself. If you love it, go get some certifications, go try new things. Just keep connecting with other people, become an influencer in the industry, just keep growing. If you don't like it, think about the next thing. Like we said, step number 1, what am I good at? What do I like? I've already done some jobs, or I tried a career, I don't like it. How do I switch into that? Also, I know there can be family pressure, and, you know, if you have certain obligations that you may have, you do have to think about that before you just cut a position off. So make sure you think about all of that before you just up and quit just because it's not feeling good. Because sometimes, you know, when you do start in a new organization, some organizations do, you know, it takes time for you to find your way. So don't quit too soon because you just never know. But if you notice that the culture is toxic, yeah, your mental health and your well-being matters more than just your paycheck, because there can be an organization that fits well with you and you can thrive, and that's worth it. So that's choosing your career. This is a great conversation. Do you have any other last tips or anything before we wrap up?
I would just say always keep up with your respective fields. Time is the biggest factor here. So when you first enter somewhere, it may be some way, and then 20 years down the road, it may be a different way. So always make sure that you're up to date on with whatever career field that you go into, and just make yourself relevant. And I think that makes you employable.
Yeah, I love it. I think one of the ways you can do that practically, Google alerts, Google alerts. And also if you have an industry, if you're in education, type in educational news and just check it every Monday, or just like Kamia said, just stay in touch with your industry. If you love it and you know this is what you want to be, you should know what's happening. You should know what's happening, what's not happening, how the laws are affecting it, economy. You just need to know you got to be a student of your craft. You always have to know what's happening. You should not be that person in the room like, all I know is how to do Excel. No, like I'm gonna need you got to level, so, but hey, but yeah, that's a great tip. That's a great tip. So on that note, thanks so much, Kamia. I had such a great time talking to you. Thank you so much for watching iRise Experience. Make sure you guys like this video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you check out our website, iRise.com, iRiseWellness.com. We have so many cool events that's coming up for Black entrepreneurs, professors, educations, everyone that's in the environment of being Black and doing well within your profession and your personal life. So we'll talk to you. Bye.
Bye.
From today